second here. So, before we get into the whole thing of Trump taking control of D.C., let me just say that D.C. has had a crime problem for many, many years. 2 years ago, they were rated the fourth most dangerous in America. But it's like Judge Janine said yesterday at the press conference that the DC City Council has passed youth offender laws that put any child, we'll put it that way, between 14 and 18, if they get arrested for anything, even shooting someone, they automatically go to family court, and family court sends them off to do yoga classes and all this other kind of BS. And meanwhile, they repeat offend because they know that nobody's going to touch them. And then you get someone like Trump comes in and says, that's enough. We've had enough. And he's sending in the National Guard and the FBI to help police. And you have these people that say, well, why didn't he do that for J6? That was a completely different situation. J6, they were trying to get into the Capitol. Hey, Yamilet. And the Capitol building, hey, Captain Cat. The only person that can approve outside forces coming into the Capitol is the Speaker of the House, which was at the time was Nancy Pelosi. Now, what they're not telling you, the mainstream media isn't telling you, is that, hey, Garcia, is that Donald Trump called Nancy Pelosi and offered 10,000 National Guards on January 6th. And she turned him down. She said, the Capitol Police can handle it. We don't need your help. Or words to that effect. And she is saying that he never called and this. And yesterday, the former chief of Capitol Police came out and said, yes, I called and asked for help, and I was put on hold for 70 minutes while you supposedly went up in a command to try and get troops, and then you come back and said, we don't need them, handle it yourself. So that's what that was all about. So yesterday, Trump announced that the feds are going to come in and the feds are going to police DC, and that it's going to, be a safe city once again. They picked up some of the statistics. The murder rate in DC is 28% higher than London, England. It's 15% higher than Bogota, Colombia. This is beyond outrageous that our capital is that unsafe, and we have people like Mayor Bowser sitting there saying, well, crime is down from last year, but what was it last year? Last year, it was the fourth highest murder rate in the nation. So it's down a little bit from last year. That's not an improvement. You know, that's our capital city. You know, that's where all the, monuments are that people go and visit. So it's my opinion that that should be the safest city in the nation. Anybody agree with that? Hey, Galia. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. That should be the safest city. Isn't that right, Captain? That Washington, D.C., because it's our capital city, should be the safest city in the country. That's why I ask you, does everybody agree with that? And right now, it is not the safest city. It's ranked the fourth most dangerous city in the country, which is unacceptable. And then Judge Janine got up there yesterday and she said the reason why it's unsafe is because the city council has passed laws that make it so that if you're 14, 15, 16, 17, or 17, that if you're charged with any crime, even if you shoot someone, you automatically go to family court where they attempt to rehabilitate you by sending you to yoga classes. How screwed up is that? You know, this may sound harsh, but if you're 14 years old and you shoot someone and unalive them, you should be charged as an adult because that's an adult crime. You should not be sent to family court and get coddled and la-di-da and stuff. You should have consequences for your actions. You know, my whole thing is that when we start taking away consequences, then that's when we start having serious problems. Because you have to have consequences for your actions. Right, Glenn. Right, Captain. And, you know, these people keep saying that, you know, that the president can't take control. Well, yes, he can, because the Constitution says that Washington, D.C. is a federal entity and that it's to be controlled by the Congress. That's what the Constitution says. Right. You know, because all of our world leaders well, not our world leader, because world leaders visit there, we should be going out of our way to make sure it's extra safe. And we're not doing that. You know, passing laws that say that a child, 14, 15, 16, or 17, if they commit any crime, that they automatically go to family court and they get sent to yoga classes in family court. And that's not fixing the problem. That's creating a bigger problem. Am I right, Captain? So we'll see what happens later in the week. The city council in DC is coming out against this. They're just brain dead. Yes, they send you to yoga classes. Yes, you're right, Captain. Kids need structure. Anyhow, that's what I got for y'all today. Hey, Pop-Tart. All right. We'll be back tomorrow. Talk to you soon. Bye for now.